Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. If you've been following this vlog for a while, you know that for the past few weeks we're starting to get into spring here, and I've been doing my best to replant my yard. I replanted the garden in the front of the yard a few weeks ago with some flowers. They're looking really nice, as you can see. I planted my garden, my vegetable garden, a couple weeks ago, and that's doing really well, as you can also see. But today we're going to continue on with this. There are two other sections that I need to replant that got hit pretty hard in the winter storm last year, and we're going to start with one of those today. Now, what I'm going to try and do is find plants maybe that are a little bit better suited for this. It's got the area is pretty well covered because there's lots of trees overhead, so there isn't a lot of sunlight. What is coming through when these trees start getting fuller will be really diffuse sunlight. So they're going to have to be plants. They're going to do well with the heat, deal well with not a lot of sunlight, and still be rugged enough to survive the winter. And so I'm going to talk to the guys at the nursery and see what they think, and we're going to try and get that built up today. Let me show you the garden I'm talking about. This is the section I'm talking about here. It's in the corner of the yard, and basically everything just kind of got wiped out. I had those elephant ear things that were here. They didn't survive. The philodendrons kind of got pummeled. Now, I was just noticing here, one of the philodendrons is actually bouncing back a little bit, so we may actually let that one continue on and grow again and find something else to do. There's also something interesting over here growing, and I don't know what that is. That might be the elephant ear coming back. So I don't know, but I do want to kind of fill in this area, get it cleaned up a little bit. There's some branch waste in there, and we need to get that out of there. And other than that, I think the area is pretty good to go here. We'll put 4 or 5 plants in here. Like I said, I'm going to let that thing grow, see what that turns into. I'm going to let that thing grow. We'll see what that turns into. But I want to fill the rest of the area in today. It's not a very warm day, but look who's up and about. Found one of the few parts of the backyard that's sunny, right? Pool water is coming along really well. Basically, the only thing I got to do now is just vacuum it on a daily basis to get the leaf waste out of the way. I got good turbulence coming through from the filter. Now that we got that all straightened out, and the skimmer's working really well, and a lot of water movement. And by the time the temperature comes up, it's like in the upper 60s right now. By the time we get it up into the mid 80s, we'll be ready for a little swimming. All right, if you've watched me for any length of time, you know that sometimes I will do interesting little news stories, things that catch my attention. I've, things that might make the news and stuff like that. I actually done a couple of local fires that I covered a little bit. I've covered some historical events that have kind of gone through here. I even went to another town 100 miles away to explore a train derailment about a year ago. Well, something interesting came across my Facebook profile the other day that I thought was kind of interesting. Kind of made me laugh because it was such a bizarre story. This is Highway 84 here. It goes right through the middle of downtown Waco. In fact, when it goes into town, they call it Waco Drive. But it's Interstate 84, and it basically runs almost the entire length of the country. Apparently, a couple days ago, there was a truck coming this way on the highway, and apparently it lost 2 of its back wheels. This is an 18-wheeler, so you think of the 18-wheeler, you have the trailer, and there's 2 sets of 2 wheels on each side. Apparently one of those wheels, or 2 of those wheels, came off of one side, went flying across this open field here, and actually crashed into that building over there. And we're gonna go take a look at this, because when I read the news report, I thought that is a really bizarre story. And then when I started looking at where it was, it's like, I even think I know where this is. So yeah, apparently the tires came all the way through here. I'm guessing what they did is they went into the parking lot of this building over here, and that's a little bit lower, and I'm guessing it hit the curb, flew through the air here, and crashed into the side of the building over here. You could even see that the rain gutter on the top is damaged. Apparently it really surprised the people who were in the building at the time, because apparently one of the secretaries called her boss and said, hey, we're missing a wall here. Apparently that thing came in with such force, it just went right through this the back wall of this building. This is an Edward Jones place, and that's another thing that kind of caught my attention, because my brother-in-law works for Edward Jones, and so, you know, the name kind of caught my attention to begin with. But I thought that was just such a bizarre story. It's just the kind of thing you just don't ever hear about happening very often. I'm going to go over on the other side of this fence and get a little closer look at this. Yeah, so this is where it happened, right here. You can see it even looks like the tire hit the rain gutter there before it going through the wall. And look at all these pieces of stone that came out. They're obviously going to have to rebuild that. But yeah, that whole area went right through there. Kind of hard to believe, huh? Only in Waco. Now, apparently it was a complete mystery where the wheels came from, because, you know, there's a fence here. There's no apparent damage to the fence. You know, there's no evidence of anything, you know, any damaged vehicles on the other side of the fences, which is where we were. They were actually speculating maybe that the wheels had fallen out of an airplane or something like that. And that's what had happened. Now, turned out it didn't remain to be a mystery for very long, because apparently there was an 18-wheeler about half a mile down the road that was pulled over on the side because he'd lost a couple wheels. So I don't know. You know, you just don't hear about things that happening very often. I figured I wanted to come down and at least see it. All right, back to the garden. Okay, so I'm back from the nursery, and I got a whole bunch of different things, and we're just going to see what happens. You know, we're going to put this all in here and see what comes of it. I started off with this, what they call Boston ivy, and the thing I kind of like about this is that this is a climbing vine. So I'm hoping I'm going to plant it real close to the wall here, and I got two of them, and we'll put one on this wall, and hopefully it'll begin climbing the wall like this stuff here in my neighbor's yard. I've always kind of liked the idea of erasing the borders or boundaries in my yard with plant life and stuff like that. Make it look like there's a wall of plants that's segregating the yard, so you don't have to see the ugliness of this. And so I think that's going to go in there and go right along the wall, and hopefully in a couple of years that'll cover the wall and look really nice. I got a bunch of different varieties of just small kind of creeping plants for the ground. I've got 3 different things here, and we're just going to kind of spread those around in there. And then I got a couple of hydrangeas. I've always really liked hydrangeas. I had them in my yard in California, and they did really well in the place I had them. I tried putting some in the front yard, but they got a little too much sun, and they just didn't do very well. I think they'll do better back here underneath all the trees in the canopy, because we don't really get a lot of sun back here. You know, you'll get a little bit kind of coming through that hole in the morning, but in the evening, afternoon and evening, you know, the sun kind of goes that way, and it's going to be underneath the trees the whole time. So I think the hydrangeas should do very well here. And then, like I said, these things here will just add a little personality. We'll kind of spread those around to see how they turn out. So I'm going to put these in the ground, and I'll show you what the final product looks like. So a lot of times this stuff is, it's all based on placement. And I kind of wanted to get things placed where I like to have them, kind of create this symmetrical view. I got 2 of everything. So, you know, I got 2 of the Boston ivies, I got 2 of those, 2 of those, 2 of these things, and then 2 of the hydrangeas. And I think this will kind of fill in the space real nice around the bird bath, and also maybe kind of create a little bit more of an inviting environment for Flash to go in here and hide, because, you know, once these things take off and get big, there'll be all sorts of opportunities for places for her to go and hide. And she's all about finding places to cool off in the summer. So, like I said, we're going to put these in the ground, and I'll catch up with you in a little bit. All right, some time has passed by. I got everything in the ground now. This is kind of how I think it's going to look. I think it's going to kind of spread out real nice. Like I said, I'm looking forward to this Boston ivy taking over the wall. Actually, I was kind of looking a little closer at this stuff that the neighbors have. I think this is actually the same stuff. So that's cool. We'll both have plants growing up against the wall, and obviously my neighbor's crop is doing very well because it runs the entire length of the wall here, and I'm not going to shine it into their backyard, but it runs about halfway to the other side of the yard on their side. So it is definitely a very prolific grower. It obviously survives in this kind of an environment. So hopefully in a year or two, this will look really nice back here. As usual, the last thing I do before we end the video is give everything a nice drink, and we're going to do that now. And that will sort of be the end of this video for today. So thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.